Good morning, good morning. Guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, you might hear a dog. I'm dog sitting currently, so it's just sneezed. You might hear Diego. I didn't want to leave him on his own downstairs because sometimes if he sees people outside, he will howl, okay, and scream at them. So I didn't want to leave him on his own, so I've let him come up and he can like roam around. So you may hear some sniffing, you may hear a little so there is that, and I do apologise. In today's episode, this is going to be very music-centric because I feel like we've had a bunch of people announce new things and a bunch of like music things have happened recently that I've not really given my opinion on because obviously now I don't do music reactions on like my main channel anymore. Obviously I don't always get to give you guys my thoughts on like new releases and stuff, and I do miss it sometimes. So I've wrote down a bunch of things that I want to speak about in terms of like music. So this is very music-centric episode, okay? Because we've had Coachella just happen. Obviously, we've got new releases coming that I want to kind of like hit on. We've had new music come out. You know, there's just a bunch there that I want to talk about. So that's what we're doing today. First of all, guys, I've got to say this. Now, this made me laugh because obviously I'm staying at my parents' house. No one else is here. That's why I'm dog sitting. So I always sleep in my parents' bedroom. They obviously change the sheets and everything, but obviously that's just where Diego's most comfortable. So I always sleep in their bedroom, and I was literally going to sleep the other night, and I looked over, and they've got this like picture thing, like not even my parents, my mum. My mum is very live, laugh, love. What the fuck was that? That wasn't right. My mum is very live, laugh, love vibes, but not in her personality. She just likes the signage. Like, you have never seen a hallway as cluttered and busy, like full of those signs, ever. Like, I can probably put a picture on the screen here, to be honest, so you guys can get an idea of what I'm talking about, because it's fucking bonkers. I've taken my stance on the matter. I've said to her that I don't enjoy. But you know what? If she enjoys, who am I to say otherwise? You know, like, I don't live here. This is not my home. So, yeah. So she's very live, laugh, love. That's a hard thing to say. One of those people. But not in her personality. This is what I think is fucked up. It's because my mum is not a live, laugh, love adult. Like, she's not like, you are so loved. Like, she's not like that in real life. Like, she just likes the signage. It's very weird. Unless, like, this is kind of like her expressing that energy because she doesn't in real life. I don't fucking know how it works. But anyway, all that to say, she's got this like nice little gallery hanging thing, like a bit of wall art where you can put a bunch of pictures of like family members and stuff. And what's hilarious is obviously like all my sisters, so I've got 3 sisters if you didn't know this, all my sisters are with either a husband, a soon-to-be husband, a long-term boyfriend, right? They're all in relationships and whatnot. So, and obviously I've got like 3 nieces at this point. So a lot of what's on this like picture thing is my nieces and my other sisters with like their people, whatever, and like their kids and whatever. Like there's an abundance of that kind of thing on the photo thing. And the one picture she has of me, right? Now, I wasn't even expecting to be featured, if I'm completely honest. Also, I'm sorry if the exposure's going up and down, which I know it is because I can see it. It is just one of those things. Like I can't control that. Basically, the one photo she has of me on this fucking gallery is when I dressed up and cosplayed as Harry from Harry Potter for a video that ultimately got blocked. And it's just me in my Harry Potter drag with a wand. Just pouting. I think that's my legacy, guys. I think that's what I'm going to leave behind. I've not got kids. I've not got a husband. I just cosplay for my job. And it just made me cackle because I was like, how ironic is this? The rest of my family is like in relationships, whatever. And what I do, what she equates my success to is me dressing up as Harry Potter for a video. It just made me giggle. See, and now it's gone really dark. How wonderful is that, hey? And then the other thing that I did write down, which is completely random and makes no sense for this episode, but you know how I be. I like to start off these episodes just completely off the wall, okay? The other thing I wrote down is runner's nip. Guys, I get runner's nip real bad. Now, if you've never heard of what runner's nip is, I'm going to tell you, okay? Because so guys, the past 2 weeks have been fucking all over the place, like mentally, physically, all the things. I have been so stressed and like just not myself. Like I've been going through the ringer, which I'm going to talk about in its own podcast episode because there's so much that has happened that I need to fill you guys in on. And I've got a feeling I might get emotional during that. So I'd rather have that be its own episode and not taint this one. But all that to say, before this past 2 weeks, I was really trying to get into my cardiovascular era in terms of the gym because I'm not someone that enjoys cardio, or I wasn't at least. Like I never really understood, not that I didn't understand it actually, I completely understood it, but I just never could bring myself to do it. Same with abs. Can't bring myself to do abs either. So I was like getting into my little cardio mode, and I was living like I'd do long ass runs on the treadmill and shit, like an hour cardio, like non-stop running on this fucking treadmill. Like that's unheard of for me. But what came with that was a burning sensation in my nipples, right? Incredible burning sensation. And oh my fucking God, did it burn. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Because I'd ran before, but obviously not for like a long period of time. So I'd obviously not gotten it before. So I Googled it and I was like, what does it mean if you get like burning nips during cardio? And it was like, it's runner's nip. And obviously it's caused by obviously your clothes rubbing on your nipples, which now that I know about it, it makes sense. Because I wasn't wearing like specific sports tops with like, you know, skin tight things, whatever. Like I was wearing normal t-shirts, but they were like soft, nice t-shirts. Like I didn't see a world in which like even that would rub. But obviously when you're running, your t-shirt and everything's like moving up and down at like obviously a fast pace. So yeah, guys, and it would burn, and I mean burn. And obviously at the same time I was having a bunch of skin issues, which is one of the things that we'll talk about in a later episode. But yeah, so I just wanted to bring your guys' attention to that, because if you get runner's nip, I'm here for you, and I see you, and I feel sorry for you because it's a rough time, okay? So I'm here for the runner's nip community, all right? Anyway, let's get into some music because a bunch of stuff's happened. First thing I want to speak about is Coachella. Now, I have a lot of thoughts on Coachella because that's basically, when I'm recording this, that's just happened. Maybe like a week ago or so. So I'm a little bit late, but it is what it is. Coachella happened. We had some highlights in terms of performers. Not that I went, but obviously I'm on social media, I see it. Obviously, like Lana Del Rey, huge, insane crowd for Lana Del Rey, which is not surprising because she is that bitch, but I feel like she's almost having her second wind currently, because I feel like she obviously had huge success back with like Born to Die and that whole thing. Like she boomed to like a certain level of success back then, and obviously like she was very big on, say, like Tumblr. Like she was a major like Tumblr inspo for a lot of people back then, right? And then I feel like she kind of like, she had a big little moment with Norman fucking Rockwell, I feel. But then kind of after Norman fucking Rockwell, I feel like a lot of people were very much like, oh, well, everyone was then comparing everything she released and whatever to Norman fucking Rockwell. Because I think still to this day, Norman fucking Rockwell is seen as like some of her best work by a lot of stans. And me included, to be honest. Norman fucking Rockwell is an incredible album. But yeah, I feel like she low-key kind of like, not dropped off, but she wasn't really as mainstream as she once was after Norman fucking Rockwell, and like into like Chemtrails and Blue Bannisters. Like those two eras specifically, I feel like people kind of slept on her. But then I think Ocean Boulevard came out. I'm just going to paraphrase it as that. You all know what I'm talking about. That kind of came out, and I feel like that kind of started off this resurgence again. And also Say Yes to Heaven, the song that she released after that. I feel like, because obviously that did really well on TikTok, she's having another peak, I feel. So, obviously not that I was surprised that she was headlining Coachella, because she is an artist that, like, I hold in, like, high regard. I fucking love Lana Del Rey. But I don't see her as an artist that like insane amount of people would be interested in seeing her do a set, like a prolonged set. And by people, I mean like mainstream people, like, because the people that go to Coachella aren't necessarily like music buffs. Obviously, like, I know a lot of them are, but obviously Coachella is more known these days as like being a space for like the influencers to go and get a bunch of content. And like, we've seen it many times, and the influencers talk about it, how like Coachella content does like wildly better than a lot of other content. So yeah, so it was a pleasant fucking surprise to see this like insane response to Lana Del Rey at Coachella, because I was almost expecting a very polarizing thing. I think if you were a fan of Lana Del Rey, then obviously you'd be living. But I was worried that the mainstream people and the locals maybe being like, oh, like, why the fuck would they have her headlining? Whereas I feel like the majority, now I'm not on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it currently, so I don't know what the response is over there, because that's always toxic. But most of the response that I've seen is people really fucking with it, which is so fucking slaying. I'm so proud of her, because I've loved Lana Del Rey for so long. And don't get me wrong, I know she's had her problematic moments and whatnot. Like, I'm not talking about those things, and that goes for any artist. Like, I'm here for the music. I've mentioned this many times. I'm not sitting here to get into the drama. Who knows, at some point maybe I will, but not right now. So I was so happy to see that people were really fucking with Lana, and she looked beautiful. She looked so good. Like she gave the classic beauty, like she gave all American beauty that we've come to know from her. And it's not because she's seemingly lost a bit of weight. I want to make that very fucking clear, because I've seen a bunch of stuff of people being like, oh my god, Lana's skinny again, like, we love Lana now that she's skinny again. Like, what in the fat phobia is that? Like, what the fuck? That is fucked up. That's wild. Like, in my opinion, I don't relate anyone's beauty and like whatever to them being skinny. Like, can we please get a grip? I thought we'd come a long way, and it's seeming like we haven't. Like, that's one thing I did see surrounding the Lana Del Rey thing. Like, everyone's like, oh my god, like, the old Lana's back when she was thin and all that kind of thing. Like, that was a big conversation I feel like there was being had on socials, which I do not feed into that bullshit, because that is so toxic. I'm sorry, we're all humans. We all fluctuate. We all go through different periods of life. And also, she's an artist known for music. Why does it matter what she looks like? Or like, Diego, please don't lick the door. Oi. Please don't lick the door. Thank you. But yeah, she's an artist known for her music. And like, if the art's good and she's slaying, who are you to be like, oh, I need her to be skinny? Fuck off. She's not here for that. Anyway, whatever. But in general, she looked fucking gorgeous. She always does. She slays me. But like, the outfits, I'm pretty sure Dolce & Gabbana did it. The outfits are incredible. The vibes are just immaculate. She brought out Billy. Now, this is going to move us on to Billy, because, oh my God, am I excited for the new album. So she's releasing a new album next month. Hit Me Hard and Soft, right? First of all, very interesting title. I will say that. I'm very intrigued to see what we get into in the album. There's a few tracks that are jumping out to me in the track list. Like the first track, Skinny, I've got a feeling that track is going to be very much acknowledging the public perception of her body, because that's something that she's also had to face. And I guess every female in the public eye, I guess, has to experience the scrutiny on your body, because I know that Selena Gomez has a lot of that shit too. So it's not a new thing by any means, and it's not just to Lana. But yeah, I think Skinny is going to be very much like her feeling like she needs to be skinny, or just talking about how people treat you different if you're skinny, that kind of thing. That's where I see that track going. We've obviously heard a little snippet of Chihiro. Is that a name? Obviously the protagonist in Spirited Away. And if you didn't know, obviously I've got my fucking suit ball tattoo. I'm obsessed with Spirited Away. I would actually like to do a video on that, like a reaction to that movie, because that is my childhood. Now, I need to know from you guys, if you're watching this and obviously you watch my main channel too, and if you'd like to see a Spirited Away video, can you please let me know if you need me to do it in the original language or if English is fine? Because up to now, I've just been watching it in English and that's what I know. And like when you click it on Netflix, like that's kind of like the default thing. So I don't know if like it needs to be in a different language or if I'm able to just do it in English and like it's scratching that nostalgic thing for me. But yeah, let me know that, because obviously I'm happy to watch it in its original language if that's what you guys would prefer. But anyway, so obviously she's got a song called Chihiro that is part of the fucking album. The vibe that we got from the 13-second, 14-second clip is very, like, think last album Lost Cause kind of vibes, like kind of sultry, sexy. Open up the door, can you open up the door? And I think she's gonna slay this era, because I feel like she's at the point now where she's owning herself more. Like, guys, did y'all see the fucking interview she did recently? I think it was with Rolling Stone, where she's just like, I obviously found women extremely attractive, but then I really just realized that I just want my face in a vagina. I'm sorry? I'm sorry, what? I fully support this. Miss Billie, thank you so much. I feel like she's really embracing herself, which is nice to see. And not that she hasn't in the past by any means, but I feel like she's probably learned a lot about herself recently, whether that just be like sexuality, whatever, and like, I don't know what she'll stand for and what she won't. And I don't know, she's obviously grown up quite a lot, I feel. Because obviously you got to think, like, guys, she was just a child when she like was making her first stuff. So she's obviously gradually going to become more and more comfortable in herself the more she grows up, like all of us do, you know? It's the human experience. So I am so excited for that album. So excited. And the fact that she's giving us no singles, to me, I don't even need singles. Like, actually, no, I'll say this. The perfect rollout, in my opinion, was very much Ariana's rollout, where she gave us one lead single, which turned out to be kind of like an outlier in the whole fucking grand scheme of the album. Like, the vibe of the initial single was not the vibe of the album as a whole. So I actually kind of liked that, because it kind of had you expecting one thing and then you were still surprised when you got the full project. And also it then means that you've got a bunch to get into when you get the album. You know? So in my opinion, that's the perfect rollout. Or otherwise, I'm happy not having any singles. I don't need singles. I don't. Like, I can't stand, like, it, not that I can't stand it, because I understand why they do it, but it's not my preferred way of doing things. When an artist does like fucking 3 to 5 singles for a project that's maybe like 12 tracks long or something. Like, we've had it before with Conan. He loves a bunch of singles before his album drops. Fucking Dua Lipa. Guys, should we get on to Dua Lipa? I feel like I'm going to go back and forth. But all in all, the whole Billie Eilish thing, her performing with Lana Del Rey, oh my God, it was everything I wanted and more. And I will say this, if Lana Del Rey is not on Billie's album, I am going to be shocked. Right? I feel like, although the thing is, I understand that Billie's very much, she loves doing like a solo project. So I understand it from that perspective that Lana might not be on it, right? But I think if she was to release a remix, like maybe she did with Bad Guy, or, you know, like she did that And Burn song with like Vince Staples, and like that was like a rework of another song. Like that, if she did that with Lana Del Rey for the new album, I would be obsessed. But it would shock me if Lana's not on the new one. It really would. Just because, what do you mean? Like, they've been so, in the nicest possible way, up each other's arses. It only makes sense, doesn't it? And like, I feel like Billie Eilish is kind of like, not a young Lana Del Rey, because I don't want to discredit her in any way, because I feel like Billie Eilish is very unique. But I feel like the same thing that kind of happened with Lana Del Rey back in the day, when she was something new. She had a new aesthetic. She offered something very different to what we'd seen before. She was quite polarizing when she first came out. I feel like that was the same thing that happened with Billie. Like, I feel like when Billie first obviously shot to where she got to with like the Don't Smile at Me EP and whatnot, and her like first album and stuff, she was very polarizing. Like we had the whole bunch of people being like, oh, like she just whispers. Like they didn't get the artistry, they didn't get the scary horror aesthetic of it all, which I loved. So like in my brain, it just makes sense for these two artists to be close and to have an appreciation for each other. Like what? And like Billie said, like realistically, Lana Del Rey is a huge inspiration for a bunch of artists. Like, holy fuck. And I don't think she gets enough credit. I'll say this. I think it's still fucking wild that she's never won a Grammy. Has she never won a Grammy? I don't think she's ever won a Grammy. Let me quickly fact check that, though, because I don't want to get it wrong. Has Lana ever won a Grammy? No, I think she's only ever... Yeah, she's only ever been nominated. Her first nominee was back in 2014 with Young and Beautiful. What a gorgeous song. Oh my God, she got nominated for Paradise for pop vocal album. Lust for Life was nominated. It's wild to me that she never won anything for Norman fucking Rockwell, because in my opinion, if Norman fucking Rockwell was like the country equivalent, in my opinion, Golden Hour by Casey Musgraves very much gives Norman fucking Rockwell. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just like their magnum opus, in my opinion. I just live. So it makes no sense to me, like, why that never won anything. 2020, who won in 2020? Was it probably Taylor for Folklore? If so, that I do understand. But I think that might have been the year after. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's not why we're here. So it's wild to me that she's never won a Grammy. And I just think overall it makes so much sense for Billie and her to be so close, right? And I would love to see Lana on the new album. Obviously, I understand if not, but yeah. And also another thing. So obviously Billie's album, 10 tracks long. So it's not a long album, right? That's why I think I like the fact that we're not getting singles, because 10 tracks is like a nice chunk to get all at once. But obviously if she released, say, like two, three singles, then we're only left with fucking 7. I may as well be listening to a fucking EP. Now, this is going to lead me on to Dua Lipa, because she's a real interesting one for me here. And I mean no disrespect, right? In anything I say here, because I do think she's extremely talented. The vocals are always on 10. She's gorgeous. I just don't find her music the most inspirational. Like, she doesn't strike me as... I don't know, she gives me very radio-friendly vibes. I feel like Dua Lipa is like the princess of radio. Obviously, we have in the UK very much like Becky Hill vibes. Like, she's very radio-friendly, like Boots. But Dua Lipa, I feel like she's the most elevated radio-friendly artist. Like, I feel like all of her music is, not that it's created to be radio-friendly, but I just think innately that's just the kind of music that she creates, and radio loves it. And obviously she's released 3 fucking singles for an album that I think is like around 10 tracks long, or like 12 tracks long. It's not a long album at all. And on top of that, she drags the fuck out of the album process. Like, she obviously dragged out Future Nostalgia, which now, having listened to her speak about obviously Future Nostalgia from like a present day standpoint on her Zane Lowe interview, I do almost understand why she dragged it out so much, because obviously like Future Nostalgia, in her opinion, was going to be this album that like would be played at clubs, people partied it up to, which realistically people still did. Like, it was a huge album. People loved that album. Me personally, like, I loved the singles. There was a bunch of songs on there that I did enjoy, but there was also a fair few that I just didn't care for. It was very half and half for me. Like, I never understood the full hype. It's great pop music, but it wasn't my favourite. But having heard now what she said about it, being like, she was hoping for it to be this very like club album, that every track, like, people were like partying in clubs and going out and whatever. Like, it was meant to be this big summer celebration album, which sonically absolutely it was. But obviously it was around the time that she released it, COVID was happening. So obviously that kind of stunted the whole idea for the album, and it being this like very like partying album. So it then does make sense in my brain why she was then like, okay, well, let me do like a club version. Let me do like extra songs for it and like do like a Moonlight version, you know, and like all these kind of things. Like that makes more sense to me now knowing that. So I'm not judging her, but it guys, it went on for a long time, that era. It did. Like by the end, by the time we got like the last version, which I think was the Moonlight version, by the time we got the last version, I was like, come on, Diva. Come on now. We can move on, you know? And yeah, anyway, all that to say, the new album, Radical Optimism, it's coming soon. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the singles. They're not like insane tracks for me. Like they're good pop music, but they're not like hitting the same as say like Ariana's Yes and Did or whatever, you know? Like it's just not hitting the same for me. And I will say also, aside from the music, because I actually think the music is really good so far and it is really great pop music, and I will be listening to the album and I'm excited to hear it. It's just no different to Future Nostalgia, in my opinion. Like, maybe it has a little bit less of this, like, I don't know, like disco-y. It has a bit less of like the disco aesthetic, I guess, and like a little bit less of like a nostalgic sound. Like, I think it is just pretty standard pop music. It's still very the same. And I'm not always saying that an artist has to completely reinvent themselves, but I think even just evolving your sound a little bit, giving us something a little bit different, especially for the singles, like fair enough, have the rest of the album sounding like your normal music. But I think if you had the singles being something completely different, I feel like you would have had a certain level of excitement for the album more than what you do now, because I don't know if that many people are that excited for the album, if I'm honest. Like, I know I'm not buzzing for it. But yeah, so there is that. I don't really see the progress from all these songs that we've had could have easily fit somewhat into the Future Nostalgia era, in my opinion. And that's fine. You know, who am I? That's fine. I will, however, say the visuals, guys, I'm so disappointed in the visuals. I'm so disappointed, especially now Houdini was a bit of a miss for me anyway, even though my friend was in the music video. The music video for me, I was like, where's the budget? Where's anything? Like, this is your first single. I understand she was like, I want to showcase my dancing ability, because realistically, like the evolution of the dancing ability, let's give her flowers, okay? But all in all, I was pretty underwhelmed with Houdini, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. Training Season, I really like Training Season. And I've said this before, I think on a live or something. But what the fuck was the visual for Training Season? I'm sorry. Well, you're telling me Dua Lipa, right, is going to sit in a coffee shop that's rotating for the whole music video, and people are just going to pine after her. And that's it. That was the plan. Fair enough. She looked hot. I get it. You want to be admired? You got it, gal. But I'm sorry, the missed opportunity that was the Training Season music video, in my opinion, now I'm not someone who obviously does music videos, I'm not someone who does music, okay? But as someone who has got somewhat of a creative mind, I'll give myself credit there, how incredible will it have been? Because realistically, she leaned into this whole like gymnastics, athletic thing for the whole... Like, so far, this whole vibe has been athletic and, like, sporty vibes, right? Why the fuck did we not get, like, almost like a gymnastics thing? Like, we're in a big gym. Guys, I'm going to give you a whole plot line here. We're in a big gym, right? She can have a stunt double that's doing tricks, that's flipping, right? We've got men still competing for her affection, but rather than it just being them, like, surrounding her and, like, overwhelming her, whatever, it's from a bit more of an artistic point of view, like, we're actually having a competition, you know? We're highlighting athletes, we're leaning more into this, like, gym aesthetic that we got on the cover art. Like, she's literally on a gymnastics pole, like, hanging from a pole in the cover art, but you're telling me that wasn't emulated in the music video. I do wonder if that was like an idea that they had and it somehow got scrapped or somehow didn't work. Because that would make so much more sense, in my opinion. Like, if I found out that was what happened and it just got scrapped and it didn't work out, like, understandable. Because I just feel like it was a missed opportunity. Like, that would have been so fun. Imagine a campy take on, like, I don't know, what's something that, like, involves gymnastics. Like, imagine Final Destination, but without the gore. You know? And, like, Bring It On, but, like, gymnastics. I just like it. I just like that as an idea. Like, I think that would have been so fun to have her have, like, a stunt double, and she's like performing. Like, imagine Olympics vibes, okay? Olympics vibes. And there's, like, people flipping and pole vaulting and all these other things around her still, and, like, competing for her affection still. Like, I think they could have made it so much more than what it was, and I think I would have been much more obsessed. And then Illusion, I didn't really care for the song so much when it first came out. Now I really like the song, I will say. And once again, the video is okay. Like, I like the set of the music video. I think, once again, she looks gorgeous. We obviously got more of an aquatic moment. I just think Illusion and Houdini, they kind of match, because they match this, like, athletic thing. I don't think training seasons matches. So I wonder if that was, like, something that was, like, a missed thing. Like, I would love to know. Dua, if you're watching, please let me know. But anyway, there's that in terms of Dua. Now, what else did I have written down? Coachella. Let's quickly go back to Coachella. I'm so sorry. I am all over the place. I think Coachella's cringe these days. Not in terms of the performances, because, like I said, like, I hit on, obviously, Lana. Sabrina performed. She is killing me, right? Espresso, I understand. I'm assuming it's gone big on TikTok. I've not got TikTok, so I don't know. I'm assuming it has, because the level of which people are fucking with Sabrina right now is crazy to me, which I'm happy for her. Oh my God, I am. She is killing it. The song is killing it. The music video for Espresso, like, guys, this is what I've been wanting for her for so many years. Like, this level of budget, you know? This level of acknowledgement for the talent, because she is everything to me. But, like, the music video, guys, it's giving Teen Beach Movie. It's giving chic Teen Beach Movie. It's giving Sharpay High School Musical 2, you know, with a bit of edge. Like, the whole color scheme for the visual. I think it was Dave Meyers. I'm not sure how you say his name. I think he was the one that directed it. Good. Thank you, my guy. You did that. The storyline, it's just, like, quirky fun, but still cute. Like, it's sexy cute, which is very Sabrina, I feel like. So I'm so excited for whatever this album's going to bring. And she is very much giving 70s, 60s pop, which I think is so fun. The Coachella outro, we've got to talk about it. The Coachella outro for Nonsense. I've written it down because I didn't want to get it wrong. Oh my God, this bitch is smart and crazy. So she said, I guess, made his knee so weak he had to spread mine. He's drinking my bathwater like it's red wine. Coachella, see you back here when I headline. Give it up. The nod to, obviously, Barry Keoghan, who was there watching her. They had that whole little moment where, like, I think she waved at him or something when she was on the stage. I don't get the hype around Barry Keoghan. Don't get me wrong, I loved Saltburn, and I think he's a great actor. I don't get the hype around him so much, but if Sabrina's happy, I'm happy, you know? Her Coachella set, I'm sorry, the fact that she wasn't a headliner and still brought that level of budget with the dancers, with the whole motel set, the outfit changes, like, she really said, I'm going to take this opportunity, right, as not a headliner, and I'm going to prove to you hoes why I should be headlining. And once again, it's another one of those things where it's like, I feel like the reception for Sabrina's Coachella set was so positive, and I'm so glad, because it is everything. She's killing it. So I had to quickly mention Sabrina because she's really doing bits, and Espresso is and has been on repeat for me for so long. Okay? But yeah, in general, I do think the whole idea of going to Coachella as, like, a participant in the audience has turned a little bit cringe, because I feel like a few years ago, back when, obviously, like, Emma Chamberlain was still going and like making a thing of it, and like obviously we had the fucking James Charles hideous things happening, like the outfits and whatnot. Like it was cringe still back then, I think, a little bit, but it was more cool back then to actually like see what people were wearing and whatnot. Because I think it was like, I don't know if it was a new thing necessarily, but it was like a new thing for all the influencers to like make it what it was, you know? Like I feel like from maybe like 2018 to maybe earlier than that actually. I feel like after the pandemic, I'm not sure if it's been the same anymore. Maybe up to maybe like 2021, 2022, maybe. But I feel like this year specifically, I don't know if it's because I've changed and like I obviously don't watch the same things as I did. Like I used to watch obviously like fucking Emma Chamberlain, the Dolan twins, all that kind of thing. I used to be all into that. Like I was feeding into the drama. I was. I think now that I'm not doing that anymore and that's not really my vibe, I'm just like, this is so cringe. Like, I'm sorry, the video of James Charles singing his new song, walking backwards, trying to dodge people that are sat down, lip syncing to his song, looking in pain, is a level of cringe that I don't know if I can handle that. And I feel like the whole outfit thing is so not what it was anymore. Like I'm like it feels very try hard, I think now. That's the difference. I feel like before it was like fun and like we looked forward to seeing what people wore because it was outrageous. Now I feel like it's just turned into very try hard because I almost think people are really trying not to flop. Like they're trying to obviously make a statement without going too far to the point where people are going to take the piss. You know, and I feel like back in like, say, 2019, I feel like people didn't care so much. They just wanted to be spoken about, and it was fun in that way. But now it's just like, I think it's so much more cringe to have like these influencers, I don't know, just leaning into like the Coachella thing still. I think we're kind of past that. And I do know that obviously that's not the whole of Coachella. I know a lot of Coachella is just it being a festival, normal people going in normal fucking outfits. But how weird of an environment must that be to be just like existing at this place and you've just got weird ass influencers doing weird ass things all around you. I don't know. I just don't like it. I think it's very cringy. Who knows? You guys might not agree with me in that, but that's totally fine. I think from a performance standpoint, like it's still a great opportunity, and I think it's only boosting certain artists. So in that way, slay, right? But I think as an attendee, can we please just retire this whole like, I need to go, I need to spend so much money on my Coachella outfits, I need 3 distinct looks. It's just not the vibe anymore. I don't think we need to be doing all that. I just don't think it's that deep. But that's just me. You know, it's just me. And then the last thing I did want to speak about in this episode is Cowboy Carter. Okay? First and foremost, I'll say this, because when I'm recording this, I just put out my Taylor Swift album reaction to the first half. And it's been a very weird one because I always forget, because obviously I don't do music content anymore. I forget how fucking buck wild and insane some music stands are, because guys, the amount of comments I received on that video being like, oh, how interesting. You only do music reactions for like Taylor Swift, obviously. And then I think people were mentioning Olivia Rodrigo because I did one video on Vampire. Like I didn't even do Guts. But basically, people were insinuating that I'm a racist because I didn't do a reaction to Cowboy Carter, is what it came down to. And I'm sorry, can I just say this? What the fuck is wrong with you? Just because I didn't want to do a video on Cowboy Carter does not make me a fucking racist. Like, can we please get a grip now? I have said how many times that Taylor Swift, in my opinion, is my favourite artist. Yes, I fuck with a bunch of other artists, Beyonce included, okay? I fucking love Renaissance. And if anything, listening barely to Cowboy Carter has almost made me appreciate Renaissance even more. I went to fucking the Renaissance tour. How are you about to sit here and tell me I'm a racist because I didn't want to do a video on the album? How about you fuck off and get off your fucking high horse? It's wild to me. So that's one thing that is absolutely bonkers. And this just reaffirms why I don't do music content hardly ever. But yeah, so that was one thing that I got, like, people thinking that I'm a fucking racist because I didn't want to do a video on Cowboy Carter. But at the same time, guys, I'll talk about it. I was not that excited for Cowboy Carter. I didn't like Texas Hold'em. It has since grown on me a little bit, mainly because my niece fucking loves it. Like, anytime we play Texas Hold'em, she is on one, dancing and prancing, and I love that. So I can definitely, like, tolerate that song much more than I did when I first heard it. It's nowhere near my favorite Beyonce track, obviously. 16 Carriages, I think I've listened to it maybe once all the way through. It did not hit for me at all. But I'll say this before you all write me off as a racist, right? I think, in my opinion, the story and what Cowboy Carter represents is much more important and strong for me than the music itself. Does that make sense? I love how this is her kind of a retaliation for what happened in 2019 with the CMAs. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, the CMAs, where obviously all these fucking idiots tried to make her feel like she didn't belong in a country genre when, hello, it was created by black people. Let's just acknowledge that, okay? So, like, I love that aspect of it, and her being like, no, you know what? I'm not going to let you shut me out of this genre. Like, I belong to be here just as anybody else does. Genres of music should not be, like, placed upon only a certain group of people. Like, how fucked up is that? Like, I think the beauty of music and art is that you're able to experience all different genres, and they're there for the picking, you know? We can create new genres and we can fuse genres together. So that, first of all, is insane to me that anyone tried to make her feel like she couldn't do country. What? Insane. But then on top of that, this whole, like, uplifting black artists while doing so. Like, the song Blackbird, I'm pretty sure that's a cover from a Beatles track, or was it one guy from a Beatles track? I can't remember. I didn't know the song before this. I've obviously just seen this through watching reactions, because I've still been, like, watching people's reactions to it. Like, I've been intrigued to see what other people think. But yeah, like, the fact that she had the up and coming black girlies, like, in country on that track with her, like, you can't knock Beyonce. She's always been someone that will try to uplift other people whilst also making a statement, you know? And yeah, I just really, I love the story and what it stands for more than I do the music. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a few tracks that I continue to listen to and I like, but not gonna lie, these are the tracks that, like, aren't the typical country tracks. Realistically, I like country as a genre. It's not my favorite, but to put it in perspective, the only country artist that I religiously will listen to is Casey Musgraves. And I feel like Casey Musgraves gives very ethereal country, like, soft country, rather than, like, this deep south, I don't know, Texas, Tennessee twanging country, like upbeat country, you know? So I just think that part of country music is not really my kind of genre. So I think that's why I was not really that excited about that album. And obviously the tracks that I do enjoy, for example, Tyrant, I think that's an incredible track. But that is not a typical country track, you know? That's a fusion of other things. Spaghetti, I enjoy that. Number 2 Most Wanted, Hello, the Miley collab, insane. I've not listened to it that much, but I love it, you know? It's just not an album that I fuck with personally, but I can totally acknowledge what it means and why it needs to be here, you know? And it was a perfect album for Beyonce to create. Like, I'm not shitting on the album by any means, because the quality is there. It's just not the kind of music that I enjoy listening to. Does that make sense? So I hope that kind of clarifies my stance on Cowboy Carter. I'm still going to continue to not really do much music content. That's why I have this podcast now, and I will be obviously doing deep dives into albums more than I will be probably reacting to albums. Like, I plan on doing deep dives into Billy's album. I'm not sure. I might see what I'm doing around the time, and I might even react to it and maybe put it up on Patreon. It's just, the effort that you have to go through with copyright and the back and forth with that, it just, guys, for me, it just eliminates any enjoyment. Like, even the Taylor Swift one, it took me like 3 days to edit because it was so fucking long. And even then, like, it's been totally demonetized and like it's been blocked in Russia and fucking Belarus. So it's like, it's one of those things where like, I wanted to do it because that's one thing that I have said that I'll continue to do is Taylor Swift albums, and I don't want to stop that tradition. But yeah, so I didn't want to not speak about Cowboy Carter because I think I have mentioned in other places on the internet like Patreon and Discord and stuff that I wasn't that excited about it. I think it was a bit fucking long, I'll say this. And I'll say this also about Taylor's new album. I don't need an album that's like nearing 30 tracks. I don't need that. For me, the sweet spot for me in terms of an album is a nice 12 to 15 tracks. I think that's perfect. Right? I think that's why I've been loving Ariana's album so much, because it's not the longest, but it has incredible lyricism and story, but it has major replay ability. Like, I have loved Eternal Sunshine. It's actually crazy. So yeah, it's like with Taylor specifically, like, don't get me wrong, like, I love the new album, but I know for a fact I'm going to be listening to the original 16 more than I am going to be the others, right? Already I've been listening to the original 16 much more. So it's just one of those things, like, I don't need an album to be nearing on 30 tracks. That's too much. And I understand on Cowboy Carter, like, a bunch of them were little interludes and stuff, but still, I just don't need an album to be that long, you know? But at the same time, don't give me a fucking album that's 10 tracks. Like, don't go away for 4 years and give me an album that's 10 tracks long, even though Billy's probably going to do that. But I feel like Billy's album, although it's shorter, on the shorter side, we're not getting any singles, which is slay. And I also think it's going to have substance upon substance. Like, she's going to have something to say within those 10 tracks, you know? Whereas Dua Lipa's, I imagine, obviously we don't know, it's going to be kind of just bops, I think. So yeah. There's my thoughts on Cowboy Carter. I'm not a racist at all. I think if you guys know me and have watched my videos before, y'all know how I am. I love people. All I want is the best for people, regardless of your sex, gender, any of it. Race, all of it. I just want the best for people. I want us to be nice to each other. I want everyone to love each other. Like, the amount of hate that exists on the internet for people just being themselves is fucking bonkers. So it's always a bit jarring when people find it very easy to just like jump to that sort of conclusion, because what a crazy statement to make, that just because I didn't make a video listening to Beyonce's new album, I must be a racist. Do you understand how crazy that is? I love people, okay? I just do. And I don't feel the need to sit here and obviously defend myself, but that's one thing that I was just like, I can't stand for that. You know, but that just proves to me how, like, realistically, people will watch you, but they won't necessarily care about you as a human. They're only really watching you for the content. Like, obviously, some people. I know a bunch of you guys, especially you lot that listen to the podcast. You guys are the fam. So, like, I know not everybody, obviously, like, a bunch of people I'm sure care about me as a human past just the videos. I'm not saying, like, the whole of my audience doesn't care about me. I'm not saying that. But it just shows that, like, certain people that tune into, like, reaction content, they don't necessarily care about the reactor, which is fine, realistically, because a lot of reactors don't do personal content, you know? Like, it is just reactions and that's it, and you don't really know the person. Whereas, like, I feel like I do, obviously, like, especially with this second channel, I do let you guys in a lot more into, like, my personal life and me as a person and what I believe in and what I like and what I don't like, you know? So, yeah, it's always just a bit jarring when people go straight to that. when it's just music. You know, it's just music. And I love it for her, and I love it for you guys if you love that album. It's just not an album that I love. And I think that's okay. You know? But anyway, I think this is going to be this episode. I think I've hit on everything that I wanted to hit on. There's probably a bunch more in terms of music that I could talk about, because there always is. I'm such a big music fan. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this podcast. I will see you next week with another one. I think next week's will be the Taylor Swift deep dive, because I know I planned on doing that this week, but I needed so much more time to deep dive it. Like, it's actually crazy how much I've got to say about this album. So yeah, next week should be the Taylor Swift deep dive. So I'll see you then. Goodbye.